Move. Let's prep. So the purpose of our preparation is to make sure that our characters, all of them, are absolutely ready for when Legion launches, and that mainly means unburdening ourselves from the shackles of Warlords of Draenor. It's a really satisfying feeling, by the way, once you actually get there. So a couple of tips then while getting ready for Legion. If you are a scribe, you should be heading down to the Dark Moon Fair. Why? They already have the recipes in for the Dark Moon Fair cards for Legion, which will ultimately lead to the trinkets. So you can actually get those out of the way now and get recipes 2 and 3 done, and you'll only need to get the initial recipe once Legion launches. Now, I'm not entirely sure if this even saves time. It might be super easy to get in Legion, but nonetheless, you can have those recipes in your bag and ready to go, and they're going to be super popular when Legion launches. Everybody wants those trinkets early. Guilds, especially the raiding guilds, will be organizing, trying to get as many as humanly possible, so you should make a tidy profit. When you're setting up your UIs, which is something you should be doing, is setting up all your UIs on your alt, so that's all ready to go. Remember that the spell IDs for your artifact spells are already in the game. For all intents and purposes, Legion actually exists right now on the live servers. It's just locked off, but that doesn't mean that the spells and stuff aren't already in the game files. They are totally there. So when you're setting out your UIs, particularly using weak auras or tell me when or something like that, make sure you include all the settings and stuff for your artifact spells, so as soon as you pick up your artifact, it's good to go and ready. Even things like the Rage of Syndragosa, or the Fury of Syndragosa for the Frost DKs, which you won't get so much later in the expansion. You can set that up now, so it's all ready and raring to go. So obviously the usual stuff applies. Complete the Broken Shore. People are now really understanding why I was asking for the fucking skip on the beta to do the Broken Shore and all the alts. Ugh, I've just done it 11 times. What a fucking pain in the ass, but get all that stuff done, obviously. As I mentioned in the previous video, you will be eventually wanting to log your character out in Dalaran once Dalaran does its final thing. We're still only halfway through. The next patch update or mini update will include, apparently, the next part of the Dalaran storyline, which was very cool. I quite enjoy going to Karazhan. Now on to the important stuff that you need to get done and get started now, because more and more people are starting to be Legion ready, and that is to understand 2 things. 1, everything in your bags that is Warlords of Draenor stuff is about to become completely worthless. The second thing is, people are really stupid and lazy in World of Warcraft, and we're going to take a good advantage of that. What you want to do is go through all your alts, go through all their banks, and collect everything that is Warlords of Draenor related. And then we're going to sell the fuck out of it in a mad spree of money-making goodness. Okay, so depending on how many characters you've got and how dedicated you were to the cause of farming those garrisons every single fucking day, you'll either have tons and tons of stuff like I had, or you'll have not a lot. That's okay either way. The mission still remains the same. Get rid of it. Get fucking rid of it prompt while it's still worth something, and put some cash in your bags. Cash isn't exactly hard to come by these days, but it's still not going to be more cash than it's going to be worth in a few weeks. So get fucking rid of it now. The easiest way of doing this is to organize it all nicely and then just send it off to one alt. I had this alt here. I mean, I'm not short of cash. This alt, my alt rogue, had like 500,000 gold in his bags anyway. But still, it's going to be worth more now than it will be soon. So this is kind of fun. I like doing this. It's always a very satisfying experience. Couple of tips from me then here. I spent an absolute age, because I had thousands of herbs, because I had all the garrisons going all the time for a really extended period of time, like 3 or 4 months, and was banking everything and organizing it all between my alts, which meant that my full banks were full of herbs, and my warlock, who was my alchemist, had just thousands of herbs sat around. I decided, and incorrectly, to convert these into flasks and food, flasks and potions. What I did do for every single one of my alts to aid the leveling process is I gave all my alts 20 flasks, just because of the fact it was a stack, and gave them 60 to 100 potions. and 60 to 100 food. I created them before I got rid of everything. So once I did that, I thought, right then, I should convert all of these herbs into flasks and potions in order to sell in the auction house. Massive mistake. What a fucking noob. Sell these raw. It makes so much more money. It's crazy. I mean, I've ended up with about 300 flasks and a couple of thousand potions. One, it took an age for my alchemist to get all these done, and maybe you guys can help me here, but I don't think it exists. Is there like a cooking hat equivalent for alchemy? Because fuck me, does that thing take forever. Oh my god, what a pain in the ass. And then whatever was left over, I like found some more herbs on a character that I'd missed, like one of the banks that I'd missed out of my alts, and then just thought, fuck it, I'm selling them because I can't be arsed with this anymore. They sold right quick, super fast, and for a lot of gold. So, I mean, I'm on a heavily populated server. That might change for you. But what I found after doing that is selling things raw, the raw materials for the people who are leveling professions and doing all that kind of stuff, was a far better idea. Draining dust in temporal crystals instead of actually converting them to enchants actually sold considerably better and made probably less money, but I don't really care about money. When it comes to the auctioning of absolutely everything, and I do mean everything, your bags and your bank should be pretty much empty. Make sure you convert all your toys and stuff. Then you can make the decision. Are you really desperate for every scrap of silver you can get? Then maybe you can be bothered to spend the time. But my golden rule when I go through this process, each expansion, and it has always paid off for me, is I give it one reset. I sell absolutely everything. I repost it a couple of times throughout that, but after one reset, I'm done. Anything that comes out that isn't obviously something that should have sold, I just vendor it and get the fucking rid of it. Get out of there. I don't want anything to do with you. I'm certainly not going to be doing my garrisons ever again, so fuck off and die and get rid of it, and therefore the whole process is complete and I'm ready to go. I did mention then stuff that I prepared for my alts. So I did the food, I did the flasks, I did the potions, and I also did enchants. Weapon enchants for the artifact weapons once you get them. I believe they work. I don't know. I mean, I'm not going to be too arsed if they don't, but I just sent all my characters the enchants to make sure their weapons get an enchant straight away, because obviously you're not going to replace your weapons, and then we can just stick the Legion stuff on it as and when it comes available. For most of us, we'll be jumping straight into the leveling process, and therefore we can just stick our weapon enchants on and get going without having to worry about going back and fanny around with that during the leveling process. I think that's a good idea. Then came the last part of my sell mission, sell all the things, which was Garrison Resources. So I had 10k on every single character. What the hell do we do with this 10k? It turned out initially I was making food for people. I was making the 125 crit food and haste food and stuff. That didn't sell particularly well, so I only did that on a couple of characters, so that left me with about 80,000 Garrison Resources to spend. I ended up waiting until it was a cheap day and just getting loads of like Drainic Dust and stuff. And then remaining work orders that I had lying around on my enchanters, I've got 3 enchanters, I just piled them in to get temporal crystals and just sold them like that. That was the most profitable and easy way I could find of doing things. You guys might have a different way. Entirely up to you. The purpose still remains the same. Empty your bags. Get rid of all this stuff. You do not want it. Vendor all that gear that's just transmog gear that you've been sat around in your bags. And by the end of it, I made in the first 7 hours, I made 200,000 gold. And there's still plenty of stuff on the auction house to sell. That's not a great deal of cash. I mean, it won't make a dent in my wallet, but 200,000 gold, I'm not going to sneeze at that. That gets rid of all my WOD stuff. And then you get the hugely satisfying experience, guys. And that is deleting all things WOD related that you don't need. Iron scraps in the bin. Work orders, like fucking leatherworking work orders that I just couldn't see any way of making any real money out of that without fanning around for ages. Sell, sell, sell. Get rid of. Do not want. Bye-bye. Dump it all, and then you should end up, hopefully, with all your lots with proper UIs. I will be releasing my UI at some point next week. Mr. Delore will be arranging that for us. Proper UIs, all nice and set up for Legion. Our bags nice and empty, ready for that leveling process to get started. And you've got the maximum amount of value you can possibly get out of them. And of course, a reasonably healthy bank account, which will obviously have massive variations amongst my audience. I would love for you guys to comment down below exactly how much you made on your end of expansion spree. We only get to do this very rarely, where we get to just throw everything in the bin and say, right, I am ready to go. So, ladies and gentlemen, those are my starting tips for getting ready for Legion. Hopefully this process should take you, it's only a couple of days, including putting everything up for auction and organising it, crafting it, and then waiting for the money to start rolling in. And that couple of days just left me really happy. Make sure you turn in your primal spirits, Yeah, all this stuff that you've been randomly collecting, turn your Apex's crystals into stuff. Just turn it into shit to get rid of. Dump all these resources that are fucking useless. Send out your fucking boats for one last time, but don't keep collecting oil. And then at some point, guys, it's entirely up to you when you do it. Call it a day on Warlords of Draenor. Call it a day and say, you know what, my characters are ready to go. They're parked in Dalaran. They're good to go. I'm happy. All the quests are done. My bags are ready to go. I've got all my materials. All right, guys, so get all that process done now. The longer you wait with doing the big end of expansion spree, the worse off you're going to be. All right, guys, thank you so much for listening. I'll see you again. Bye-bye.